So welcome back to Nat Joe Cafe Library. Today we're doing something a little different. We are here with Erin. We're going to do a little book discussion kind of thing for The Bone Witch. We're reading these in sections, so it's going to be the first section, middle, and then the ending. And then we'll do a little discussion on each section. I guess that's a read along. I don't know what those are called. I don't know. Anyway, so Erin, why don't you introduce yourself and we can go from there.
So I'm Erin O'Neill. I am the Teen Services Librarian for the Worcester Public Library. That is not how Nat knows me. We've been friends for 5 years now? 6 years now?
Sure.
Something like that. But I do have the prestigious honor of being a Teen Services Librarian. It is my main claim to fame, but I actually do book reviews during every other week for my job. So I was really excited to be able to come and talk about things that I actually read, because normally it's just me yelling at people to read the books. Now I actually get to read the book and then tell people to yell at people to then yell at them to do the thing.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So we've been reading The Bone Witch. So we stopped just prior to chapter 11. I think when I did the math, it was about 11 to 12-ish chapters for each section, I think.
Yeah.
So you were more familiar with the author Rin Chapeko than I was. What were your initial thoughts on this book?
It falls right in that really beautiful line of horror and fantasy where the creepiness is integrated into the story itself.
Yeah, I've been calling it dark fantasy. I don't know if that is technically correct, but I've been calling it dark fantasy because it's darker and it's a little bit more nitty gritty, but it still definitely is squarely fantasy realm. But it's almost like you have a protagonist that you don't know is the good guy, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of unreliable narrators. I like when I never know if my narrator is completely truthful with me or not. And it's kind of fun because you always, when you have that first person voice, you always have that question of, I don't know if I trust you. And I think that makes it more interesting as a character to kind of go and go, I don't know.
Right. Well, and then this one starts off with we end up figuring out their flash forwards.
Yeah, it took a second for that.
Or I guess the entire book is a flashback. I don't know. But it starts off it's not in the narrator's perspective. It's being told from I guess you could call him a reporter, I guess.
Yeah, I was treating this like a true...
Yeah, I read that first chapter and then it went to chapter 1 and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I kept seeing her being I feel like I'm reading a true crime podcast or an interview where it's this narrator has gone to find the person off in the wilderness to ask her all these very intense questions.
Yeah, it's so great. And I think that's what I love the most about this book is it starts off with T, the main character T, her several years forward in her life than where the book happens. And so it's these flash forwards are being told in a memoir kind of, a memoir-esque kind of feeling, and then it will flash back to the first person current storytelling. It's very different, and I love the way it's being told.
It's I definitely have to sit down and go, okay, who is going to be attacked or whatever. There's a point where she's laying down next to the grave, and she's talking to him. And I was reading that entire book chapter being who did she kill? And that was stressful. That entire chapter was very stressful for me, and it's still stressful because I don't feel like that's fully, I don't think that we're going to get that full resolution for a while, but it was just this is stressing me out. Who is it?
Well, and I'm not entirely sure I know how far split the timelines are, because
we should also probably mention we're going to be spoiling shit.
Oh yeah, we're going to spoil the shit out of this guy. Sorry, I don't know. If you're new to this channel, I don't know how to not spoil stuff. If you're a returner, then you should know that I just spoil shit. So spoilers.
There you go. So because I do book reviews, so for the library, and I always have to be careful not to spoil things. So I'm I can actually spoil things now. This is exciting.
I'm terrible. I tried to be the non-spoiler book review, and I just want to talk about shit, and that's all the spoilers. So I'm not sure between the two stories, the flash forwards and the present time, I'm not sure I've established how long of a time difference that is, because the the narrator guy person, he assumes that she's about like what, 18 or something in that very first chapter.
Yeah, like not super young, but like if that is the case, then there's only a very short amount of time between like where we start with her.
Yeah, like 5 years or something. But like she's a completely like different person in the flash forwards. Like she kind of reminds me of like the old sage, I've seen too much shit kind of person. And she's not like that in the flashbacks.
And that's really, to me, that's really young to be at that place. So like that kind of makes me worried that there's going to be there's going to be a lot that happens very quickly to get her to the stage. And I know that this is a trilogy. I know it's done. So that means to me that a lot is going to happen in a very short amount of time, which narratively I sometimes struggle with because I want that like history. So I'm a little bit like, how fast are we talking?
True.
Like, are we shoving like a ton of stuff into book 2 and just hoping that no one notices? Or
I don't know. I feel like a lot of shit goes down, and I feel like book 2 is going to be her reacting to all the shit that goes down in book 1, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea at this point. Like, I'm still sitting at a place of I'm still trying to figure out like where her trajectory is and how it matches up with the flash forwards with the modern day.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll just call flash forwards for like the sake of our sanity.
Yeah, for the sake of this, we're gonna call them flash forwards.
Yep.
So, because like the book starts with the flash forwards with the narrator, journalist person, basically trying to figure out what it is that she did that got T banished to this island.
Yeah,
and we have no idea what the hell that is. And it's like you're telling the story this way, and it's so fascinating to me that like you have the beginning point of like T learning how to use her Asha magic, and then there's T who's already fucked some shit up in the world and is trying to like tell her story backwards, and you're waiting for the 2 points to meet. I love it.
It's gonna bug me because there is another YA book that I really do like that uses that same trajectory. And I'm interested I really wish I could remember the title of it. It's gonna bug me throughout the rest of this recording, and I'll probably remember it the second you turn the camera off. But I remember really loving that style because it does really mess with your perceptions as a reader. Because it leaves you really like very honed in on the story itself and focusing in on, okay, these are the pieces I have here. These are the pieces I have here. How are they going to go out, like connect together?
Let's talk about the world building of this world, because I think it's freaking fantastic. Quick summary. So she's an Asha, which is kind of like a witch. It sounds like there's types of witches. I can't tell if it's entirely tied to like elements a little bit. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure how their magic works.
I don't know if it's entirely elemental. I think it's broken down into elements is not the right word, because you have the magic, you have the performance, you have like there's different elements to it.
Yeah, so it's categorized in a way that we haven't quite figured out.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy to it that I think it goes deeper than what we've gotten within the first 11 chapters. And I feel like that's the kind of the best way to say it, is that we've gotten the brief touch that you have the water witches, the wood witches, you have the bone witches, you have like all these different styles that can do a specific thing. And then there's casts within those of how strong you are within that cast.
Right. And then it seems to be broken up into mostly fighting categories, and then like the not so much
healing yeah. And then performance basically.
And so she falls into the category of a bone witch, which is basically a necromancer, and it's the coolest freaking magic ever. But then there's also these heartstones, which I freaking love so much. So it's like they get these necklaces, and when they turn a certain age, I don't remember what it was, 16, 14?
No, it's younger. No, it is 16, but she was young.
Yeah, so she was young. So generally in the world, it sounds like 16 is when you get the color of your heartstone. And so one of the lesser Asha will do a little magic-y doohickey thing. And like your heartstone, I read it as like an actual physical like glass holding of what your stone, like your heart and your like soul is, because it changes colors based off of your emotions and
your health and like things like that. Yeah,
I thought it was so cool because like they were talking about in the beginning how T's parents had switched their heartstones when they got married, and I'm like, you literally have someone's heart. That's so adorable.
Stressing though, because I lose so much stuff that I'm like, I would lose that, I would break it, I would be a mess like the entire time. So like that was stressing me out. I was going, I would kill myself, I would kill my partner, I don't know what, but like, oh god.
But I love it though, because T's so the Asha have a certain colored, I don't remember what was their color. It's not the normal pinky red. It's like
isn't it like the silver white or whatever?
Yeah, like a silver white color.
Mm-hmm.
But in the flash forwards, hers is black. And she keeps saying how what she's done has made her heartstone go black. And I really want to know what that is. Because clearly raising the dead, isn't it? Because that's worked out fine for her so far.
So far, yeah, sure.
So far-ish. I mean,
I was cracking up that there was one point where she raised one of the monsters and she was petting it like a cat. And I was like, you know, why not? Why not befriend the monsters? That feels like a great decision. At the end of the world, befriend the monsters.
I do. And I also like that the world itself seems to have a really long history. Mm-hmm. Her teacher lady.
Michaela?
Huh?
Michaela?
Yes. She keeps talking about how there's like this king happened and then this war happened and now this country is being run by this. Like there's an applied long history with this collection of worlds, and I enjoy the depth that it seems to have.
Yeah, it has longevity instead of like there's some YA books where this world exists for this time. Like there's no long like no long history. It just exists kind of now, and it was built for now. Like there's a lot of YA books where like this really cool place exists, but there's no history of like this king before that king and this war before that war. It's like, no, the last war. That's all we care about. And I'm like,
it's a very isolated bubble.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, like I like worlds where it's, you know, that there is a history, there is a structure to what actions happened in the past now affect what's happening now. Not just one war where, you know, one dumb person, typically a man, made a dumb decision, mm-hmm. and then you all end up, you know, screwed. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, this is a bunch of people messed up to lead us to this point.
Yeah, I love it. I love the amount of just like depth the world has. Also, can we talk about the tagline for this book?
I was cracking up at that. I was actually like, I was dying because I'm like, this book feels like it goes way beyond the let's be clear, I never meant to bring my brother back from the dead.
Yeah, but I'm like, that tagline is why I'm like, I have to read it. I don't care what the rest of the book about. That tagline, that great A+ marketing, lady.
Can we talk about Fox? Like, I love him. I love him so much.
Yes, Fox, the brother that she didn't mean to bring back from the grave, who's now her familiar, I think.
Yeah, I think he's like a black cat. Like in my brain, I see him like Salem, like wandering around.
Well, and like I think it's funny how T clearly has not like followed up on that, because Michaela's like, oh yeah, it's just your familiar, it's fine. And I feel like the great follow-up that T should be asking is, what is a familiar and how does this work? But no, she's just like, yeah, Fox is around. Like follow up on that, girl.
I feel him in the city, and I'm like, you should be wondering,
like, what's going on with Fox?
Is it going to be every person that you accidentally raise? Are you going to like be able to feel them? Is that going to be like how you create like a spy network? Because that feels like a great way to create a spy network of just undead people romping around.
Well, and like literally the chapter the last couple of pages ended with her accidentally raising a dead king that had been assassinated that they didn't know had been assassinated. So like, does she just have a king familiar now, or what's he doing?
I was cracking up when they're like, yeah, you raised an entire army because you were super uncomfortable at a party, and I'm like, you know what? There are times.
She wasn't just an introvert, okay? There was other stuff. So my big question about Fox is he preserved the way he is, or will he at some point just turn into a walking skeleton? Like, are we looking at like Walking Dead situation, or is he like Wax Man? Like, how does Fox's game play out with this?
Yeah, I'm like wanting to see what he's going to look like in 5 years. Like, he's going to look the exact same, because except that his pallor doesn't change. He doesn't eat. He doesn't do much. He just kind of like wanders around and gets money randomly. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm convinced that boy's beating people up.
So yeah, I want more of him.
Yeah, I really want more of him. I really want to know who the grave belongs to. And I kind of think it might be, I don't know.
I think it's the
I think it's the second love.
Yeah, I don't think it's the prince. I think it's the second kid that like we met briefly
and seems to hate her guts. We haven't even talked about the weird plot line of the monsters that she has to raise from the dead on a schedule or else hell breaks loose. Like, what is with this?
That was really like stressing me out. I'm going like, what if like you're late?
I know.
I mean, she does explain it. Like she does explain well, if you're here a week late, like the skeleton's already there and they're coming back out. If you're here a week early, I'm like, that seems so weird that they revive at different times at like different eras. And like, so I play D&D and my brain goes, that's like a DM needing to send you on a plotline quest. Like that's your DM being like, hey, they need XP. There's a thing that's going to revive in a week. You got a week to get there.
Get it.
Yeah, literally, I was like, that's a DM. That's a D&D thing.
Well, and it's so funny because like Michaela is teaching her about how like the Asha's Bone Witch's jobs are to raise these monsters at these very specific times so that they can maintain this weird system thing. But then in the flash forward, she's just like, whatever, I need his thing, so I'm just gonna force raise him now and like completely break the rule we just learned about. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought there were rules. Why are you breaking the rules?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's like part of what makes her special or like the reason for being the main character. There always has to be a reason for being the main character. Mm-hmm. So is the fact that she is the main character, the fact that she can do this outside of the specific timeline, that she can do it whenever she feels fit?
I'm wondering if it's a weird twist on like the chosen trope where instead of being like chosen for greatness, she just is kind of like the Voldemort.
Like, she messes up the system.
Yeah, and like she just has this weird affinity for this magic that allows her to break the rules of basically their magic system. I don't know.
We're learning that the dark, like, or the bone witches are slowly dying out or something. Yeah, I'm going like, what happens to like your ecosystem if the bone witches die out? That's right? Not good.
Well, and like the magic, I can't remember what they call their magic. Like what I can't remember what, but like how basically if they use it too much and too recklessly, it'll consume them. Like they could literally go insane and die from using their own magic.
Yeah,
which is a really cool consequence that a lot of magic systems don't have.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a magic system where there is like, yes, it's intrinsic to you and it is intrinsic to yourself, but you have to learn the balance between it, because if you don't, then it's going to destroy you. And I like that added fear of it, because it does force you to be careful, more in control of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Just like in my book. Not a plug.
Yeah, not a plug. It does. It like really pulls you in. I feel like the beginning was a little hard for me to get into just because I was so confused as to what was happening. Mm-hmm. I was like, I feel like I'm being thrown in. Like, I like when worlds throw you in and expect you to learn their rules. But I'm like, I need just a little bit more hand-holding so that I don't feel like I'm missing something. That was the one drawback I had where I was like, am I missing a step? Did I miss a step?
Mm-hmm. See, and I loved that. I loved that first chapter, it throws you in with her like raising some creature from the dead and then killing it. And you're just like, what the hell? And like the confusion for me was so like, I need more information, that I didn't even care that I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I just needed that. Like, I was just kept sitting here being like, did I miss a crucial step? No, I should be okay. I haven't read that fast. I didn't, like how you like get into the reading zone and you read a little too much too quick.
Yeah.
And you forget what you just read.
Yeah.
I didn't get into that phase. So I was like, I think I'm good. I think I'm fine. Mm-hmm. But then when I realized like, oh no, I'm literally just being expected to carry my weight and figure out the story myself. Like that helped. But like the first flash forward and half of the first chapter, I was kind of saying like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and then I literally was like, I don't know what's going on. And then I think it wasn't until the second flash forward where she's talking to the guy in the cave where I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. I was starting like, once I hit that second one, I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense. I am definitely on board now. And then of course I literally in 4 hours, I think, read 118 pages.
Yeah, that's where I was when I was like, have you read it yet? And you're like, I don't even have it yet. And I'm like, God.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy like I got caught up, and I'm very excited to see kind of like how it progresses. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I have like a ton of ideas on what is going to happen, just because every time I've guessed something, I've been wrong.
Well, like, and I don't know if we have enough plot to even have an idea of where we're going. Like, so far,
No, like these first, like,
yeah, she's just kind of hanging out with Michaela, being the odd duck out at school, basically.
Like, yeah, I feel like we're learning the rules with her. Like right now, we're learning the rules with her, and they're going to be the tools for us that we're going to need in a bit, basically. Because if we don't have these tools, we are going to be lost.
Yeah, because like they haven't even started training her yet. She's still just like trying to earn her keep.
She's cleaning toilets at this point. I'm just like, that's mean.
Poor girl.
Like, I feel so bad for her.
Although I don't know if you've read the Shadow of Bone series, but the the old lady who's like the headmaster or whatever of the house that they're in, she reminds me of Bagra so much.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
she reminds me of Bagra, and I love Bagra. She's like, Bagra deserves better. I just had an idea.
Yes.
So the monster things that are created that nobody knows where they came from, things that keep ravaging towns or whatever. What if the horrible thing she did that turns her heartstone black is that? What if she ends up doing that and creating, because like the monsters are bits of other beings mushed together. If I'm understanding it right. So what if the thing that makes her heart go black is that she figures out that magic and she starts doing that, but not for a reason people understand?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I could see it as an option.
I feel like the weird hodgepodgey platypus monster things are more important than, because they've been introduced enough that they feel relevant, but there's so much information lacking about them that it feels purposeful.
Well, and you still have that one that's like romping around that no one could find, which
the one that's just like disappeared.
That one I was like, we should be more concerned about this. Like if a dragon creature thing
just disappeared
is like just disappeared, and like that was the one that we were the most worried about,
there would be questions.
I would be more concerned. And they're just like, it's probably fine. And I'm just like, no, you should be worried. Like you should be concerned.
And so I feel like that is going to tie in a lot with T's story. And I like how she very clearly has secrets. And it's like, as a reader, your job is to try to uncover those secrets. You feel like a very active participant in this book.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's that unreliable narrator. Like you're still sitting there going the entire time questioning every motive, everything she says to that like interviewer.
I know,
like,
this dude.
In my brain, I'm not even joking, when I saw like what he was doing and I realized what he was doing, my brain like imagined like a nerdy like guy with a backpack and like a little like microphone just kind of following her around being like, now Mistress Chi, answer me this question. Like it was just like some like British like explorer like with like a little like completely anachronistic to the story, but like I just imagined like this little like guy just being like, Mistress T.
I know, right? So I started watching the Nevers on HBO, and if you haven't watched that, oh my god, you need to.
Okay. Yeah, I just actually watched the first episode with one of my friends like a week ago, I think.
That's a whole nother conversation that I need to have. But T reminds me a lot of Mrs. True. She's a very unreliable narrator. You're not entirely sure whose side she's on, and she's got secrets. Most of her life is just secrets, and she can kick people's ass.
I kind of wonder if like the person that's narrating her in the flash forwards is kind of the only trustworthy person to us right now.
Yeah,
because they're giving us like
the only one we can trust.
Yeah, like at this point, it's like I think I'm the only like you're the only one I can trust because you haven't given me a reason to suspect you, and you're the one right now who I feel like is trying to figure things out just as much as we are.
Yeah. Well, and I think it helps that when we were first introduced to him, she sticks that one Bazar, how do you say that? Yeah, that thing. She sticks that thing in his hand that lights up if he tells the truth, and it did. So like by the own canon of the world, we're trusting that he is truthful because the world told us he was. But, yeah. So we'll do this again at the end of chapter 20 ish. And we'll recap everything from there.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming.
Of course.
And we'll see you guys on the next, whatever this is. Buddy read book. I don't even know what to call this. Sure. Thing. The next thing.
Yeah, this next thing that we're doing.
Right. So that was the first section of The Bone Witch. If you guys want to join us and
on this little buddy read adventure. The next block we're going to be stopping at is around chapter 20. That video should be going up probably the weekend of the 16th, of May 16th, assuming that we have the time to read and get everything filmed and edited on time. That should be about when that is happening, so if you guys want to read up to where we are and then join us for the little chat, that's kind of the schedule. I know this was a little bit of a different format than we normally do. If this was weird, let me know. If you like it, let me know. I'm still kind of figuring it out. I thought it was fun. But yeah, thanks for joining us on that little random chat, where I'm realizing now we never did like a synopsis of what the book's about. Sorry. So, anyway, we will see you guys on the next one. If you want to join, feel free, and we can talk about the first half of the Bone Witch in the comments.